So it's been almost impossible for many runners to get their hands on these, the Asics Superblast 2, often considered one of the best shoes of all time, in my opinion. So how did Asics go about handling the supply and demand issue for this shoe? Well, they made something better. These are the Asics Megablast. And I have a feeling that the board meeting went something like this. Hey, Mr. Patel, hey boss. Stella said you needed something from me? Oh, Johnson, yeah, come on in. I gotta speak to you real quick, come in. Johnson, where are we at with these? We're having the biggest inventory issue. There's so many runners out there that cannot get their hands on the Superblast 2s. I've been getting tagged non-stop. What's going on, Johnson? Oh, right, the supply issue. About that, I do have an update. Good, Johnson. I'm glad that we're getting to the bottom of it, because there is a shoe tuber. His name is Run with Tapas, and he has like 7 subscribers at the time of his meeting, and he's called it the greatest shoe of all time, the Gasot. We can't let him down. Yeah, I saw his review. It was actually pretty good, but his channel is growing like how he runs, very slowly. But enough by him. I actually have a very important update for you. About time, Johnson. Get to it already. Well, I want to present you with these. Johnson, what the heck are these? And why is there a turbo squared? That's right, boss. We created a brand new super trainer that has a much more significant bouncier foam, significantly lighter, and has no carbon plates. My God, Johnson, these are a dream. Are these the new Superblast 3s? Nope, no boss, that's the best part. We're gonna create a whole new line of shoes, and we're gonna call them the Megablast. And we'll charge people $25 more for it. Johnson, I gave you a special project to fix the Superblast 2 supply, and you bring me these, and we're charging more? Yeah, boss, but you're a goddamn genius, Johnson. We'll have no need for Superblast 3s anymore, right? Oh no, the Superblast 3s are still coming out next year, by the way. It's almost like we were in the same room as them, right? Nonetheless, here they are, the Asics Megablast. Can they dethrone the greatest shoe of all time, the Superblast 2s? Is the price justified? And more importantly, are they good for us slow, heavy, and beginner runners? Let's get into my first impressions. And with that montage, let's get into my disclaimer. As always, these shoes were not provided by the boss or Johnson from the video. I bought these with my own kidneys, and no one gets to see the review or has any input on my opinions. These opinions are my own, and so are my impressions. Let's get into it. As usual, let's start with the specs. We'll start from the top and work our way down. The upper is a very, very breathable engineered mesh material that is very racy and has that racy shoe feel to it. I'm sure this was to help keep the weight of the shoe down, but it doesn't feel plasticky like some of the uppers that I've tried that were race specific. Size-wise, they don't have a wide option just yet, so I went with the same size as my Superblast 2s, which was a size 12, which is half a size up from my normal shoes that I wear in an 11.5 wide. While they don't quite have the same spacious room like the one in the Superblast 2s, the toe box was plenty wide enough for my foot. No issues here whatsoever. The heel has a good lockdown, and although I did have to really tie down the laces when I was running some thinner socks, because I did feel my feet move around a little bit, the laces here are also very, very good. They are very similar to the race shoe laces that they have. They hold up very, very well. The tongue is not gusseted, but I didn't have any issue with it whatsoever. They were very comfortable. My biggest worry in these was the upper, and I'm very, very happy to say it is actually very fantastic. Final thing I'll say, as I mentioned before, it is very see-through, so make sure you pick the right pair of socks for these. And moving down to the midsole, we have the brand new FF Turbo Squared. And boy, are these something else. As much as I love the Superblast 2s, they were definitely on the firmer side, which is why many people often commented that they were like bricks. The Megablast, on the other hand, are slightly more compressive, but not squishy like my Vomero Pluses or anything else. But the bounce and how easy I'm able to pick up the pace in these is absolutely insane and super fun. These truly made my toughest runs feel fun and bouncy. The heel area is wide enough for stability, but they're not as stable, I would say, as Superblast 2, which had a wider base. But honestly, they were stable enough that I didn't have any issues with them whatsoever. And lastly, the outsole. These have the same Asics grip outsole like the Superblast 2s, but for some reason, it does feel a little bit grippier. It's almost like my shoe sticks to the road, but in a good way. I'll also mention here, it is hot and dry in my area, so the temperatures are pretty nice, the weather's pretty nice. I'll let you know in my long-term review how it does during the rain and stuff like that. Weight-wise, this is where the biggest surprise is. The Megablast are 266 grams on the left and 260 grams on the right, which is crazy to me. Compared to the Superblast 2s, which are 300 grams on the right, and even my Novablast 5s, which were 286 grams on the right, and all in US size 12. And finally, the price. Where do I even start with this? They are a whopping $225 US. Stay tuned later for why I think this price might be justified for some runners. Alright, so with the specs out of the way, what are these actually like to run in? Well, I have good news for those who felt like the Superblast 2s were bricks. These are slightly more compressive. They're not super compressive foams like the Vomero Pluses or even the Novablast 5. They have a similar midsole to the Adios Pro 3 and that version of the Lightstripe Pro, which if you guys have seen my previous videos, I really like that version a lot. In fact, it's the same midsole as the Evo SL, which I use for my speedier stuff. But the bounce on this is also perfect. It propels you forward like a carbon fiber shoe, and I think it's because it is also very lighter and the rocker is slightly more aggressive, but you can really pick up the pace in these. I use these shoes for every single run I had, speed sessions, easy sessions, long runs, everything in between, and they worked perfectly. I did the same thing for my Superblast 2s, but after some time, just the pure bulk and size of them made them feel like too much of a shoe. But these, with the lower weight, felt more like an upgraded version of my daily trainer, the Novablast 5, and that's a good thing. Lastly here, and I mentioned this before, the stability. I know a lot of reviewers have said that this is a very unstable shoe. I honestly did not feel that at all. I felt this was very, very stable. Again, if you want a very stable shoe, the Superblast 2 is probably the way to go because it has that wider base. But these, for me, work perfectly. So of course, no shoe can be perfect, but this is kind of close, honestly. There are a couple of things that I'm not the biggest fan of. Personally, for me, when I do my easy runs, I want a very plush and bouncy shoe regardless of the weight. I used the Glycerin Maxes for a while, and now it's the Vomero Pluses. But with these shoes, it's not really made for slower, easier paces. It wants you to go, and as soon as you go into slower paces, it sometimes turns into my tempo runs. So for me, I personally won't be using them for my easy, slow recovery runs. The second issue is the price. $225 is a very steep price for any shoe. And for beginners, I would not recommend these at all. Go with other shoes like the Novablast 5 or Evo SL that are much cheaper and can do everything you need for your beginner trainings. Here's my argument for why I think these might be worth it for certain type of runners. These are truly a do-it-all shoe. I mean, I want to use these for my faster runs than my Evo SL. So when you think of the price point, they can be used as your everyday trainer in even racing shoe. Again, my perspective is from a heavy and slow runner where not only do I want a lighter shoe, but I also need stability and proper comfort when I'm doing my race paces. In fact, I have a 5K coming up in a month and there isn't another shoe in my rotation that I want to wear besides the Megablast. So for $225, you can really get a race shoe that does all the races in my opinion, along with a daily trainer for every single run that you have. Fast, slow, easy, long, whatever. But as I mentioned before, this is mostly for experienced runners who have had training shoes or have a training rotation of shoes. But beginner runners, don't splurge just yet. Just get a good daily trainer for cheap and use that instead. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be doing a long-term review for this. So here's the stuff that I want to see in the long-term review testing. First and foremost, I want to see how this midsole stacks up. Asics recently has had some issues with their new foams losing bounce after a couple hundred miles, like the Novablast 5. This FF Blast Squared is a brand new foam from them, so I want to see if these will also last a long time. The thing that made the Superblast 2 so legendary was just how much of a tank they were. They have lasted me so far 200 miles and they run the same as day one. Many other people have put almost 900 miles with the same result. So I want to see if these can stack up to that status. Well, there you guys have it. My first impressions of the Asics Megablast. For me so far, they have dethroned the GOAT, but time will tell if they will stay there. Subscribe so you don't miss my 100 mile review, and judging by how much I've enjoyed these the first couple of weeks, that review may actually come a lot quicker than the other ones. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.